So I asked Tara to come on the show this week because last week we were both in a cocktail competition at Spoonbar called the Golden Bar Spoon Competition, which they do every so often over there, involving Napa, Sonoma bartenders, sometimes some bartenders from the city, usually with a sponsor from a liquor company. This time it was Bombay Sapphire East, a newish product from the Bombay Sapphire people, which is basically Bombay Sapphire with the addition of Thai lemongrass and Vietnamese black pepper to give it sort of a more exotic feel. Tara, tell me about Spoonbar. What's Spoonbar are all about?
Spoonbar is an artisanal cocktail bar. We specialize in local products, local ingredients, hand-making everything. And we're total nerds about Prohibition-era cocktails.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the competition, tell us a little bit about the Golden Bar Spoon competitions. What's it all about? What are they like over there?
They're lots of fun. I always have to work them. So for me, it's a little bit crazy. I make about 4 million drinks in the night, then I pause momentarily, the whole time stressing out that my bartenders are making drinks without me, and make my drink and then go right back to work again.
Tara is a machine behind the bar, and it is really great. You get these big crowds that come out to Spoonbar during these competitions, all these drink specials, and people hanging out, cheering on their friends, their favorite bartenders that go one by one, making their cocktails that are delivered blind to the judges, then making tastes for the crowd. And Tara, as she said, she's normally in the bar in front, making drinks for everybody, and she just rock stars it back there from the bar, makes her drink, gets applause, goes right back to work, like not breaking a sweat. It's crazy, but it's always a really fun time. And if you're ever in the area for one of these competitions, you should totally come out. I think the next one's on February 20th, which will be an Encanto Pisco competition, if I'm not mistaken. Definitely come out. They do a great job there. It's lots of fun. Check out the H2 Hotel or Spoonbar Facebook page for info on that. But what we really came here to talk about is basically, you know, cocktail competitions in general and what fun they are. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but cocktail competitions have been a big thing in the bartending community for, you know, over a decade now. More and more, you see all kinds of competitions, basically usually brand sponsored, where, you know, a brand will come in and say, you know, hey, bartenders, we really appreciate you. We're going to donate some booze, some prize money, and we want to see what you can do. It's a great time. It's a great way for bartenders to sort of, you know, stretch their legs, show off what they can do, and most importantly, I think, get together and see what each other are doing. You know, I would not have known Tara if it was not for bartending competitions up here in the North Bay, and I've met so many great people from all over the world in competitions in general. And they range from all sorts of styles. Like some of them are very buttoned down, very regimented, rule-oriented. Those international competitions tend to be like that, to basically just throwdowns that are just a lot of fun. But anyway, no matter what it is, it's a great time to sort of experiment, go outside the box, maybe bring a little bit more flair to your recipes, sometimes story, sometimes sentimental things, experiment with flavors that maybe sometimes you wouldn't find on a normal bar menu. But I think that Tara did a really great job this time on her cocktail, and I wanted to ask her if she would maybe make it for us to get things started here, because we're all thirsty, right?
I would love to.
All right, tell me about it. What do we got? What's the cocktail called, first of all?
I'll have what she's having.
I will have what she's having, which is a good name. It is a good name.
I feel like with the competitions, you need something with like a little bit of like a flair that's sort. I mean, it might be a little bit hokey, but everyone knows that scene from When Harry Met Sally, and every bartender hears that phrase like 100 times a night. Oh, I'll have that one with the foam and the flour, and mine has both. And
foam and the flour.
Made sense.
Yeah. Okay, so there's got to be a foam and a flour, but we're starting with Bombay Sapphire East, right?
And we're going to do 1.5 ounces of that guy.
Cool, cool. So what do you think of this gin, Terry?
I really like it. I like the bite that it has. I tend to like the nuances that it has. I kind of was basing the cocktail off of the almond notes that I get from this, and also from the lemongrass. I actually did steep lemongrass into the kiwi and the coriander foam as part of it.
Cool, cool. So go ahead.
We've got 1.5 ounces of the Bombay Sapphire East. I love celery anything with gin. So I'm also doing 2 dashes of the celery bitters made by Bitter Truth.
Bitter Truth from Germany. Great bitters.
A little cracked pepper. I'm doing a lot more than I normally would because this little guy is not like the big guy I have at work.
Yeah.
Big cracker, I was doing about 2 solid twists or so.
So cracked pepper to build on the pepper that's already in the gin there, give it an extra kick, okay?
And because of the soft almond notes that I kept getting from this, I knew that orgeat was always going to be part of the recipe. We make our own at Spoonbar. This is Michael's, which is lovely.
So if you're not familiar with orgeat, orgeat is basically an almond cordial or syrup that's traditionally made by taking almonds, blanching them usually, by keeping them raw, working them into some water until you basically get almond milk. It's quite a process. There's different ways to do it, but it takes some time. You get all that almondy flavor out of there. It goes back to a tradition thousands of years old where people, before, of course, refrigeration, people would take barley, actually. Orgeat comes from the Latin root word for barley, and take their barley, grind it up, steep it in water, work it around, and make this basically shelf-stable version of milk that was nutritious and was filling, and it was a good way to go. Over time, people did learn that this delicious barley milk was more delicious when you didn't make it out of barley, but instead made it out of almonds. And so they kept sort of the root of the name, but it tended to go towards almonds. And then thousands of years later, it became more of a syrup, a cordial. Oftentimes, orange flower water was added to it. And given in France, it was a big thing for kids. You have a little orgeat and some seltzer, mineral water or something like that. And it definitely played a big part in a lot of cocktail traditions from the 19th century on. There you go.
I'm just really glad you explained that.
Yeah. It's best when you make your own. There are some good craft products on the market, but don't confuse it necessarily with there's a lot of orgeats on the market that are just sort of almond flavored sugar syrups, but you definitely want a nice craft product, or make your own. Maybe we'll get into one of those later, recipe later. Okay, go on.
So there was an ounce of the orgeat in here, and then we're going to do 1/2 ounce of lime. Want to keep acid down for some of the floral aspects that I want to come out.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's shaky, shaky time. And we're going to double strain into a antique coupe.
And double straining, again, is something we do. Why, Tom?
Because you don't want all those little ice shards in your mouth. You want a nice pure spirit. Look at all that. You don't want that.
That's just slush. No slushies. Unless you like that. Yeah. All right, so now we have the foam. All right, so tell us about the foam.
So I stripped and then pureed down kiwis, ending up with sort of a kiwi juice or puree. I cooked it down with a little bit of gelatin and some fresh lemongrass. It's sweetened with the orgeat to kind of try to tie all of that together. There was a hint of cucumber just because cucumber's good in everything. Cucumber makes everything better.
Okay.
So then it's put into our CO2 canister, give it some froth.
Charged with nitro.
Oh, and coriander. I'm blanking on one of the main ingredients.
Coriander.
Which I toasted and then cooked down with the rest of the ingredients. So it's a kiwi, coriander, and lemongrass foam.
Nice.
I got a little ahead of myself there.
Nice foam.
So I've seen that blow up before. Does it ever pop into your drink and explode and fly over everybody at the table? Or
yes, and usually it's when it's almost
I'm not saying you, but other people.
It's definitely, it can be a pain, especially because if you've just made the drink and then it explodes all over the place.
You just did it beautifully.
Oh, well, thank you.
I'm actually quite surprised that you said coriander, because I've always thought that in the States here that you would call it, is it cilantro? Cilantro.
Yeah, it's
Like
actually the
coriander.
seed of cilantro.
So you call it the
they're-
coriander seed?
Yeah.
Yes, so that's what it was.
Yeah.
All right,
Whereas
okay.
the leaf we call cilantro.
All right, okay. Right,
I
interesting.
actually took the cilantro leaf to make this tincture, which is a little dangerous, especially in a cocktail competition, because there's a certain percentage of people who taste soap when they taste cilantro. But I feel there's
right.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
so
I heard
little
that.
of it that I just put couple dots across
I've
the
never
top for a little bit of
tasted soap.
color.
You know this.
So let's talk about tinctures.
taste
How do you go about
guacamole.
making the tincture?
This was just 151
Mm-hmm.
fresh cilantro leaves, and it was crazy. Within like an hour, it's this color.
Wow.
I added a little bit
151
of-
in cilantro leaves, and you make that, and you put it in that bottle.
Yeah,
and
you strain it out later, but the high proof just like completely, it just sucks
it all
the
up,
flavor
yeah.
and the color. And I want a tiny bit of it for flavor, because it's already starting to. Yeah, so.
You're
But I
floating it
mostly-
over the top, right?
Yeah, a lot of it was for scent, which is a big part of the cocktail competition, was the scent when you taste it. And it also makes
Can I
cute
walk
little
by
things
and get
up.
a shot of this with the top? This is our handy webcam.
So foams also are a great way, using foams, whether they come from a canister, like with the nitrous oxide
So good in
canister,
real life.
or if they're made by egg whites or whatever else, pineapple wool foam, these sorts of things. It's a great way in a cocktail to float aromatic elements over the top that maybe you don't want it too heavy on the palate, but you want to get them in the nose. And of course, flavor is mostly smell. So retro-olfactorily, this cilantro is going to become part of the flavor of the cocktail without necessarily dominating on the palate. Right?
What you said.
Yes.
So then I've made these adorable little kiwi slivers, very thin sliced and cut into squares.
Was that grown square? Is that a Japanese square kiwi?
They have lately, everything I've been doing is square. I'm a painter, and all my paintings are square right now. And so, of course, all of my garnishes right now are square. And then...
I'm told that I'm very square, too.
Me too. See, that's how we get along.
That's very tricky.
And then we have our locally grown mustard flowers.
Nice.
Not much is growing right now.
Can we get a shot of that over the top? That's just beautiful.
That's very pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very pretty.
Pretty drink. And there you have it. I'll have what she's having. May I?
Please.
All right. I'm going to be first. It's my show.
Damn.
That's really good. Wow.
Yeah.
You got a really good balance in that. I was a little worried when you said you were going for a little bit less of the lime there, but like there's something else in that that's really bringing up the acid, keeping it balanced. Really nice.
The kiwi is so tart
Mm-hmm.
that I did lots of what we would think of as proper ratios with the orgeat and the lime.
Yeah.
And finally it was, having more orgeat than lime to me is like sacrilege. Like but there's so much tartness in the foam that about the 10th time I made it, that seemed to make sense.
Yeah.
Wow. Try.
You know what? I'm going to take an iPhone picture first.
Go for it.
Because I don't think everybody online, it's a little overexposed because it's white.
Mm.
So it's hard to get on camera. So I'm going to iPhone it, picture it. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah, I know what you're
It's
talking
like,
about.
I think we're going to have someone from Food Spotting coming on the show soon to tell us how to take pictures of our food and our drinks.
I'd
So
watch
that's going to be a really
That's
fun episode.
interesting.
Because I think I'm pretty good at it, but then, I'm not a photographer, but that looks good.
That looks
And that
really
gets, there's kiwi in it.
I have a question here.
Okay,
with
now
all
I'll
this,
take a sip.
with all this reduction, are you taking classes of chemistry classes or anything like that?
Wow.
Because it seems like,
Wow, yes.
we're talking about almost, a sense of searching that and that and that. You cooking this at home or when you do that?
That's delicious.
I've been in the food industry since I was
So
about
delicious.
14. I've just paid a lot of attention, I guess. But also, we experiment a lot at Spoonbar, and we make a lot of messes. And we drink every once in a while to see how things are coming along. It's a lot of just experimenting. This was the second foam that I made.
So you have one morning you wake up and I have an idea and okay, I'll work on that. I'm gonna, you know, maybe this might be like good for a cocktail and try to reduce that, cook it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, because I've made foams before from other recipes, I kind of like knew my way around foam making. And after I tasted this gin, I knew that I wanted the orgeat to be what was sweetening the foam, but then the kiwi coriander just came from tasting the gin and thinking about what I would like to drink with that gin. And then the drink was sort of built around the foam. I feel like you have to make the foam, taste the foam, see how it's behaving, because it's always going to be an experiment. I hadn't heard of anybody making a kiwi coriander foam before, although I'm sure somebody has. But it was sort of like, cool, I got the foam, I got the booze, I know some things that I want in the drink, and then just make it till it's wicked delicious.
And color-wise, it looks amazing because it's got that lovely light, that limey green, and then the cute, but it's just beautiful.
Yeah.
It'd be amazing to have it for almost if you're going for a Thai meal, just to give that. It just gives you that all those the lemongrass and all the things that are kind of going on. That just gets the taste buds going. So.
The booze is always going to dominate. It's always going to say, "Hi, I want you to do this to me."
Oh, and you did, and I just posted it on Facebook. If you couldn't see it in the studio here, I just posted a beautiful picture of it on Facebook at 5 o'clock somewhere.
Nice. Yeah.
Thank you, and it tastes as good or better than it looks. I mean, it's beautiful, but wow, those flavors are outstanding.
Thank you.
And is that mustard flowers? Is that what that?
Yes. I actually grow all of the flowers and the herbs for Spoonbar, but because I live in Forestville, everything is just a barren wasteland at the moment, with a few herbal exceptions. So right now,
it appears to have evaporated a lot. Something's happened, it's evaporated.
So we brought it around to the studio to the live audience, and everyone's had a sip. And thank you so much. That was fantastic.
That was great.
Okay.
All right.
What's round two?
All right. So it's really great what Sarah did there. You know, definitely in a cocktail competition, what the judges are looking for are appropriate uses of the spirit. And I mean, really, in any good cocktail, you're going to want to see that. I mean, these days, I'd say, you know, we've graduated from the days where people are looking to cover up the booze in their drinks. They've realized that good booze tastes good. Good booze plus good ingredients can taste even better at times, and you definitely always want to have that present. Make judicious use of your spirit and reference it in anything you do. Also, having all the ingredients present, there's a lot going on in that cocktail, but I could taste every single element, and it was perfectly in balance. Every cocktail being based on that core balance, whether it be spirit to bitter to sweet, or whether it be to acid to sweet to spirit. It was beautifully done, and that was a great job. Also highlights a great, you know, one of the ways that we come up with cocktails is by thinking about, say, some core flavors that are represented in a spirit or just something that's inspiring us, whether it be kiwis or corianders or something, and then building the cocktail around that. Another way we can do it is, say, just sentimental memories or even a story, what have you. And that brings us to my cocktail, which I made for the competition. And of course, again, the Bombay Sapphire East having that lemongrass and black pepper, that Southeast Asian flair. I made a cocktail called the Saigon Sour, although I think that maybe you could call it the Franco-Saigon Sour, because I was thinking about the French Indochine Empire very loosely. I don't know why. That just happens. And whose capital was once Saigon. And so I was going to make a cocktail that kind of brought together some of those flavors in something that might have brought you to a place in a cafe in Saigon where there was a young French lieutenant who was homesick for his family's orchards in southern France, where perhaps they might have been growing, so I got the gin there, and where perhaps they might have been growing some So bergamot is an orange, bergamot orange. It's generally used only for its aromatic oils that come from pith. It's the main flavor in, for example, Earl Grey tea. 80% of bergamots are grown in Calabria in Italy, but there are some that are grown in southern France, maybe in this young Lieutenant Corporal's family's place. So what I did is I made a cordial. These are actually locally grown bergamots, but I took the zest and I actually did take the juice and simmered the zest and juice together, added a little sugar, brought it up to a boil, shut it off, add a little spirit to balance it out, and this is basically a house-made bergamot cordial. It's got a little bitterness, a lot of floral. You smell that like Earl Grey tea thing coming out there. I'm just going to add a little bit of that.
I'm dying to taste that by itself.
To the body there. And so this is going to be a citrus-based cocktail, sour, if you will. So for the citrus, I'm going to use lemon juice, freshly squeezed, of course, and strained of the pulp so that you get an accurate measure there. Then I'm going to put a little bit of honey syrup in there as well, just honey 1-to-1, as we saw before. So what I got is 1.5 ounces of the gin, 3/4 of an ounce of the lemon juice, 1/2 ounce of the honey syrup, which is fairly sweet, and then 1/4 ounce of that bergamot cordial, which actually carries its own acidity with it. So we're still in that target zone where we have something that's slightly more tart than it is sweet. But then, to complexify things in terms of texture, I'm going to add some egg whites, which egg whites add a nice velvetiness to a drink. They also form this beautiful bridge on the palate between the sweet and the tart, making it sort of like adult milkshake. Now, to get even more complex and add a little depth, I'm going to use a cinnamon tincture here. A little bit of that. That's just cinnamon that's ground up and steeped with overproof rum, 151 again, for about a week, shaken every day. And then the Fires of Hell, which we saw earlier. And this is a chili tincture that involves Thai chilies as well as African bird's eye chilies, which are ridiculously hot. Like seriously, if you put this on your finger here and rubbed it on your temple, you'd be feeling it for the next like 8 hours. It's not good. And definitely don't get it in your eyes, but just little, very carefully measured amount of that.
Michael, is there a reason why you picked this particular chili?
I like the Thai chilies to sort of go along with the gin itself, but I really like African bird's eye chilies because they give you so much bang for the buck. I mean, they're tiny little buggers. They're, I think, related to chili Pekin, but you can just crush them up, put them into spirit, and within minutes, if you just tasted that spirit, it'd be like, it burns you. And when you're trying to add a really clean heat to something, they do all of the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
So that's that one. Now, of course, we've got an egg white drink here, so we need to emulsify those egg whites. So we just dry shake it, as we say in the biz. Basically shaking without ice, and that's allowing the egg white proteins to sort of get beat up with some air and the liquid. It's going to make it nice and frothy. Add ice. A judicious amount of ice. And then we're going to shake. Shake, shake. All right. Carried away with that shake there.
It's a good shake.
And then double strain again. Going to get all those ice bits out of there, as well as anything else that might have found its way in there. Who knows?
I'm always amazed that every time you make a cocktail, it just fits the glass. It just perfectly fits the glass. How do you do that?
You measure. You
Why
figure
didn't
it
I
out.
think of that?
You know, if you're using a sort of a standardized recipes where you're using a certain amount of spirit, which is going to dictate how much of the modifiers that you're using, and then you're shaking for the appropriate amount of time to get the appropriate amount of dilution, you're going to end up with basically the same volume every time.
And you've got great glass knowledge because you've got to be knowledgeable about the glass that it's going into.
Yes, you
To
think
know
about
exactly the measures and stuff.
You do,
Yeah.
well, you just use some fairly standard glasses, although both of our bars use a lot of antique glassware, which we source from all over the place.
Take some trial and error.
Yeah, sometimes you get a glass that looks like it's different than it should have been. And I'm just going to add a little bit of Angostura bitters on the top of this, which is mostly for design, but it's also going to give a little something on the nose, which it's fun to do with egg whites because egg whites don't particularly add flavor, but sometimes they can add a little bit of an aromatic compound or contribution that is not awesome. And sometimes putting a little float on the top of that can mitigate that. Make a little design, and then take a couple of dried chilies here, just for looks. And float those over the top.
Wow.
Oh, that's stunning.
Your turn.
Very sexy.
Thank you. Saigon salad.
What's it called again?
Saigon salad.
So this competition that you guys had, how many mixologists we were into that?
What do we?
I'm sorry, I can share.
Yeah.
But
That is lovely.
let's do first.
What do we have? Like 9 entrants in that one?
Yes, we did.
And you're doing this like this is a monthly, pretty much?
We're gonna try to do
Okay.
one a month. That's the plan for the moment.
Mm-hmm.
That's hot.
It's got a little spice to it.
I feel like it's so clean though, the way the spices in there.
And almost refreshing too.
Yeah.
You know, just a really, really summer drink.
I want to take your cordial home with me. It's so good.
How open are mixologists about sharing their recipes with others?
I don't know if I could speak for everybody. I'd say generally bartenders are pretty open about sharing recipes. I mean, I know that I have always thought that there's no reason not to share everything that you're doing. I mean, what are you going to say? Like, no, it's my secret recipe for this. I mean, if somebody's good enough, they can probably figure out how to make it. And, you know, the history of cocktail making, you know, recipes are not copyrighted. You know, a lot of what we do is based on classic drinks that, you know, everybody sort of knows the general frameworks for the recipes. Bartenders are even cool about oftentimes other people highlighting their drinks or other bars highlighting their drinks on the menu. In fact, it's one of the biggest compliments that you could get is for somebody else to feature your drink on their menu, I'd say. And yeah, sometimes with house-made ingredients, I find people maybe get a little dodgy once in a while. I think I don't know. I always figure for all the labor that we go through, both of our bars have very house-made centric ingredients, very craft ingredients. If we can make it better than we can buy it, we will. And I figure if you're going to go through all of the trouble to make something, go ahead.
I agree. I think I have pomegranate grenadine on my forehead actually still from earlier.
Exactly.
But I feel like sharing is good. I feel like there's a reason that we can even do this, and it's because of other people before us.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And you guys are seeing like a lot of really new generation of people are really interested into cocktails, mixing and all that.
Absolutely.
I mean, like younger, like 20, like even the kids that are not even old enough, but are really start to toy with you know, mixing things and because everybody has gin, everybody has vodka, everybody has, you know, from home or even like talking to you.
Yeah.
I mean, you see like a day, like, you know, where someone is coming up and they want to learn from you because you're that good.
I definitely get asked a lot of questions during the shift, and I see a lot of interest. I think mudslide and the can days are coming to a conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, whether it be because people want to make things at home or want to get into the business, whatever it is. I mean, I think that, you know, cocktails have been because of the efforts of bartenders, you know, like Tara, like you know, that are really passionate about their craft. You know, people have realized that there's a lot to it and that they're delivering a superior product. And what's great about that is when people are interested, they ask questions. When they interact with their bartender, they actually get more enjoyment out of the drinking experience. I mean, if you're going to shell out for a cocktail that's, pretty awesome, why not squeeze everything you can about it? Why not find out, how did you make that? Why did you choose this? Why did you do that? In the same way, like, learning more about the wine that you're drinking, why it has this, smoky character to it, why it has this, improve your appreciation of wine.
I'm looking at you like when I'm thinking about it, and you're like more chefs than anything else. I mean, the chef, but a chef in his kitchen will like get a piece of halibut and make it special by adding different components and make it as complicated or as simple, And you guys are doing very much the same thing by, especially mixology, by bringing all those like different ingredients, some more exotic than some others. But you're building, you're going from you're taking a raw product, gin, for instance, and from that you want to make a cocktail. You can do a gin and tonic, or you can go crazy like you guys are doing.
Yeah. Well, I think that sometimes you can go crazy. Sometimes you make it simple. Definitely in the craft of bartending, I think that all of us sort of think that. I mean, my philosophy is like, sure, we can get a little crazy with some things. Certainly, you'll see that a lot in competitions and on certain menus where it's right. But what's most important is just giving what's more important is giving a proper serve no matter what it be. With considering what kind of ice, what kind of seltzer you use for even just a gin and soda. A simple drink as that. Doing it the right way. You just want to pay attention to the details. But I would say also, really, what really defines the bartender is not just how much they can mix a drink, what flavors they can put together. That should be a given. And most bartenders would agree that what really defines our trade is our ability to make people feel welcome, have a good time, and enjoy their experience at our bars, which that may be about a fancy drink and our knowledge of classic cocktails, and it just may be about being open, being sensitive, and just saying how you doing.
How much of your mood and your personality dictates how you shape your cocktail?
I don't know. I don't think we have.
If you're in a bad mood, would you put more? If you're in a bad mood, would you put more of the hell's fire? Take that. No, I know that not for the customers, but how much personality goes into your cocktails? I can see a lot of creativity in there. That's why I'm asking.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
that's a hard one. I mean, back at Spoonbar, we do make fun of each other for our tendencies or our crutches. I'm so flowery is what everything I do is somehow floral. And
so you like flowers?
Yeah, and I do. And then everything that comes through is very like herbal and very very based upon local ingredients. And
that reflects your personality to a degree.
Oh, I would say for all of us, some of that comes in. It's sort of, I mean, I don't want to, the word art is so strangely used, but I mean, it is creative, and so you do put that into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. But, it's not necessarily a day-to-day thing because you're always measuring carefully. You're always trying to deliver the cocktail in the same way. You want to be able to go into your bar and say, I want the cocktail I had last Tuesday and get the same thing. So that's also important. But when creating drinks, sure, who knows what goes into it? Who knows where inspiration comes from?
Part of the fun is sometimes when people come in and they say, I want something with this and I want it to be like that. Make me something. And for me, that's the absolute most fun.
Oh, yeah.
We did that the other night.
Yeah.
We did, didn't we?
Did we?
Yeah, we did. I can't remember. I had too many cocktails.
Do you guys feel like any pressure on the needing to create a cocktail every week, or this isn't something like it comes when it comes?
It depends. It depends. Sometimes we have to. I do a lot of special events where I maybe have to create a cocktail for something. We try to keep a nice rotation going on at the Goose and Gander. There's these competitions that will get you, but otherwise, sometimes you just think of something for no particular reason. Wouldn't it be great to combine this and that?
Yeah.
And there it just comes to you. You put it in your back pocket, and there you have it. Other times, what's great is when when guests come in and ask for bartender's choice, make me something that tastes like this, use that, whatever, just put something together on the spot. And sometimes you find something that may end up coming back again and again.
Yes. But that's what I like when I go to Goose and Gander. I mean, you wait on me or no? You just, care to me and like, so you feel like a gin, rum, and like a rum. And sure enough, I mean, you go and I never had the same drink with you ever.
And you do have several when you come in. So. You gotta have people to keep you on your toes,
You have a lot of different kind of bitters here, and you were talking about making sure that you can source your bitters if you're not making them yourself, source them well. Where for the lay person there is like, okay, I want to experiment with different bitters. Where do they go? Do they go online, or do they go into individual stores?
Absolutely, you can go online to. I mean, if you're lucky enough to live in a city where you have a great liquor store, like Cask in San Francisco is a great example, where they have a large range of bitters and can help you with them. That's great. Or you can go online, sites like kegworks.com or cocktailkingdom.com are great sources for barware, bitters, what have you, and just explore, collect, play around.
What exactly is a bitter?
Well,
I mean, I don't really know much about cocktails, but what exactly is that?
Bitters are basically, they go back hundreds of years. Originally were medicinally oriented, but they're alcoholic infusions that involve various herbs, roots, sparks, spices, and generally bittering agents like gentian, orange peel, wormwood, angelica, what have you. And they were originally taken as tonics for health. And then over time, people realized that their tonics for health worked better when mixed with a strong spirit.
That's genius.
Yeah, pretty much is. And sometimes they worked even better when they were sweetened slightly. And even after that, they were better when they were cut with a little water or even chilled. And you have a cocktail by definition.
Wow,
so
that's amazing.
Bitters come from this medicinal tradition into basically the heart of what a cocktail is.
Yeah. Awesome.
Thank you
I learned something.
Yeah, I learned something as well. Yeah. That was new to me.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
We could use some bitters, by the way.
Need a hot toddy.
I need a hot toddy. Well, we'll get on that right away. But anyway, I want to thank Tara for coming out tonight. And I know that she has to get back to her glamorous life.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you. It's always a
Thanks,
pleasure.
Tara.
Fantastic cocktail.
Thank you guys for hanging out and trying
Thank
the drinks.
Thank you.
And again, we'll be back next month, and we'll see about what we're talking about that time. And in the meantime, happy winter, stay well, and good night.
All right.
Fabulous.